I think filmmaking is probably one of the hardest creative disciplines.
Action!
It's the collaboration and the logistics of it that make it really fulfilling. But it's also the bit that makes it really hard.
Creating stories and myths to talk about ideals, values, beliefs. That's like a very uniquely human thing.
Life reflected in art is brilliant.
Great, thank you so much. Kat.
This is such a great medium to use as a mirror.
Our culture is fed by what's coming from the screens. Obviously, that's hugely important.
Action!
I think that directing a film is a bit like building a house on a train, moving forward with people throwing things at you.
As a director, you have to be fiercely determined and passionate about what you're doing, but also actually listen to what other people are saying.
You're the creative captain. You really need to take risks and not just to be the scout that does the appropriate thing. You need to be in a zone of insecurity.
There's one problem directors have in a way. It's the randomness against the control. You can try and control the whole process. If you do that, you can kill off everything. It's like catching a butterfly, you know what I mean? It's very easy to destroy in the process.
One of the things the students, I think, love most about being in Beaconsfield is that, for them, there's nothing else to do here other than make films.
The NFTS is an extraordinary space for directors to learn and think about filmmaking.
Action.
Great, and cut.
They come into a world that's more reflecting the industry.
Just have this little arrow shoot out.
You're suddenly working with a crew. You know, you're working with producers.
Why would we not use these amazing singers and dancers that we've got?
They're working with editors.
There's some cool dancing in here.
Sound design, composing. We do animation.
This whole year, we're working on this project.
This is the NFTS model making department.
Production design department.
Visual effects, script supervision.
With the directors coming here, bringing these all together, it tends to work rather well.
The film school was started in 1971 in a 100-year-old film studio.
Let's cut that.
You've got all the original old sound stages, so we're really lucky to have that kind of culture and spirit.
Nobody wanted a film school in Britain. It was the same old story. The only people were young filmmakers. They wanted one.
The kind of maverick first director, Colin Young, started the school from nothing, and there were 23 students. Apparently, they were all given a blanket on their first day because there was no central heating in the studios. There was no lessons, there were no classes, they just made films.
When I came here as a student in 1985, you sort of learn stuff by doing it.
It produces some extraordinary alumna.
Your nomination just made a lot of people happy. Oh, I'm glad. Me too.
I remember that call. Are you kidding me? Did I get in?
Gromit. That's it. Cheese.
People like Nick Park, who created Wallace and Gromit, Nick Broomfield and Molly Deneen.
I got in because they were definitely taking 50% chicks at that time.
You could argue they shaped what British documentary went on to become.
I think the NFTS creates people that are actually adding to the culture.
The barriers to entry for directors are really hard.
I always knew I wanted to direct because I love it. It's like feeling alive when you're on set and it's all coming together.
Okay, and cut.
Yeah, great, that's cut.
The directing program, we get the most applications for it.
From when I was really young, I had this habit of just making stories.
We had 400 applications last year.
I just really wanted to experiment more and try more things.
And to ratify that down into 10 students is quite a process.
If they've got potential and they've got talent, we'll give them a platform to really flourish.
It's a really good question, how do you teach filmmaking? To me, performance is such a kind of a key anchor, because I think when you watch a big film and if the acting is no good, we all know, if you've got an ability to get a performance out of someone that is kind of feels true, to me that's a real sort of starting point.
Please tell me you didn't go see Charlie.
So what if I did?
So we're going to be breaking down a script with 2 actors, just to kind of show the directors that it's not necessarily always about the words, it's about the subtext, the way the actors play it.
What if?
No.
No?
No. I almost feel like the whole education for me as a director was to kind of close the gap between my sort of intention and then what's on screen. You have a certain intention and maybe you feel like, okay, this is the tone I have in my head, but then you film it and you're like, this is not at all what I intended.
It's not that you've gone out there because it's... I think a lot of the misconception is that the directors need to come in and be like, I want it to be exactly like this, and when you say it, you kind of need to say it like this. It's called like results directing.
All left to me, as usual.
Saying you need to be really angry in this scene, what does that mean?
Whereas if someone tells you, you know, someone that you loved, something happened to them or something like that, that's something that you build it from inside out.
Does she know that she's going to have a go at her?
An actor isn't just like throwing out a false emotion, they're putting out a real emotion and it's coming from somewhere.
How do you lock into the things that, oh, that needs to change?
It's like a live space where you can kind of work out your sort of emotional intelligence muscles.
Yeah, please don't tell me you went to see Charlie.
Get the performances right, so then you start thinking about where you would place the camera.
The first exercise we ever did together was a person in a space.
Ian Seller is just a genius. Every student, if you were to go and ask Joachim Trier, Rose Glass, or Lynn Ramsey, they'd all talk about Ian.
Have you talked to Ian Seller by any chance?
We're about to, yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, good to know that he's a character in this.
The first thing you have to do is go and take a picture of each other.
Ian Seller was one of my favorite teachers. A lot of exercises, because you've got to train your craft.
He has a very sort of specific methods of teaching, which I found extremely useful.
What are we seeing on the screen?
They feel exhausted to me.
Are we in their experience? Are we observing them?
What it really taught us is a kind of to really zoom in on like the tiniest details.
What happens if we take the hand away? What difference does that make?
It clarified a lot of things for me about who I was as a filmmaker.
How does one connect to characters? And how can you take the audience into a character's story? They're feeling this, so we're watching this woman. Is that correct? Yeah. So and the next shot might be the person watching.
Ian, I think, really kind of focuses on point of view that much. Where you put the camera basically helps you to tell not only the story, but also bring the kind of emotion that you want the audience to experience.
I still need a minute, thank you.
It's very easy to be distracted. You know, people come in with really good ideas. Oh, we could put the camera on the ceiling or whatever, you know, and that could be brilliant. But it might not be the movie you're making at that moment.
Nice and quiet for a take, please.
Mark. Rolling.
Action.
You can have very practical workshops on performance and all those sort of intricate things, but ultimately it's the making that you really learn your craft.
Let's cut that.
When students come here, they get 4 films to really refine and hone their craft.
All those experiences culminate in the grad film.
We got really lucky because there's an 8-foot water tank below the stage. We would have had to build the whole set on stilts so that somebody could have been down there or people could have fallen out the windows safely. This is a film called Hand to God, and it's about a knight who steals a baby and he takes it to the top turret of a tower. And so he's doing everything he can to keep people from climbing up through the windows and entering through the trapdoor.
Release the blade, stamp crab. York, it's in me.
I think I really love anything that feels very situationally comedic, but is played straight. So if I say to the act playing Yorick, you need to piss out this window onto knights, he has to play that really straight, even though it is ridiculous.
Okay, let's get ready to go straight away, please.
Stand by, everyone.
what I ultimately like to make are comedies that begin very comedically to get people to buy in, but communicate something that's much deeper.
I have proof! I can verify this tale!
There's a whole other section of the film, which is somebody telling this as a story. One of the big inspirations was how easily people believe things that they read and how people get their news at the moment. And so it's very much about how you can try and convince people of stuff in order to like push your own agenda in some way.
The key thing is just coming to things with a sort of point of difference. Obviously, a lot of pressure's on grad film because it's the film that they go out into the world with. It's all eyes from the industry on those films.
I just want to say thank you to BAFTA, thank you to the National Film and Television School.
Thank you to the National Film
There are shorts that have gone on to get BAFTAs.
The NFTS for facilitating the boldness needed to tell this story.
I know sometimes the students find that navigating that pressure quite hard.
The students we're looking for, I suppose, are people who are wanting to communicate something.
It's going to be wicked. I can't wait.
You're trying to find out what things are about, who people are about. I don't personally understand the world that well. I don't quite know how it ticks. I kind of want to find out how it works. And I think as a filmmaker, you can sort of grab a part of the world and have a look at it.
We're shooting Safia, who's playing Bree. Just before, in the scene previous, a character's like, no, you can't ride, girls can't ride. And this is her moment of being like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Whenever I start a project, it always ends up being this idea that you're obsessed with. It kind of eats away at you, and it's thinking about this world, these characters, and it's that obsession that ends up taking over. What am I saying with it? What is the heart of it? Clinging on to that one idea that you'll live or die for.
Hey, that looked really great.
As a director, you're trying to say something. You know, as a filmmaker, you're trying to communicate something that's important to you. In fact, it's not always clear what you're wanting to say. And sometimes during the making of a film, you discover what you're wanting to say. So within the process, you've got this thing that can shift on you. How you negotiate one thing against the other, getting a team of people to do things whilst pursuing something that you've only got a grasp of.
Yeah, I'm just having like issues with believing it. I think as an idea it works, but I don't believe that.
All right.
Sometimes, of course, you think, what if the film's really bad? In the middle of the edit, you feel like that. Like, I do feel like that because you're like, you have all of these like ideas and then you put it together and it's like, it's not working.
I like the idea.
You just have to trust yourself and you have to trust your editor. I get really excited when editors do something that I did not expect, which we have had a few moments of, like screaming and jumping.
You did screaming and jumping?
I did screaming and jumping. My grad film is called Rice. And it's about this Indian girl who's getting married into this aristocratic British family who have some colonial history.
Someone's crying.
She keeps hearing these wailing sounds in the estate. And it's the same wail which was heard during a man-made famine in India in World War II. And I'm trying to like explore that idea of, can we really move on from extreme violence, and how as human beings we are ignoring violence even today.
We have never had anyone tell us they have had an issue with the falling down.
That's true.
Before coming here, I would think that I have a very clear idea of the film, and like the edit is very clear in my head, and I know exactly how I want it to be.
Like, I think it's still in the right direction.
I think we just need to like hold the audience's hand a little bit more. But I worked with 4 different DPs, right? I worked with 3 different sound designers. Now, everyone has their own personality. Everyone has their own tastes. I cannot keep pushing down my way of like doing a certain thing.
We knew that generally this film will be led by sound and music quite a lot. There was the scene that we knew for sure is going to be one of the kind of pivotal points in the film of when she just feels that she's had enough and she goes into her world of just bursting out with the Indian dance. Some shakers, some kicks, some darbuka drums and some other Indian drums that just basically make. So that was our main idea.
Atmosphere is really, really important. This is the opening, which is a kind of low, kind of just tonal things to help you know where you are. That's a bit of a wind, and then the wailing. Obviously with reverb attached, and all together it sounds like this.
It is on my head. All these people sort of like, they worked really hard for making my vision come true. I consciously don't allow that to affect me.
So many of the elements feel like they're working in a way that we're happy with, but it's like the last couple pieces of the puzzle aren't quite there.
Everybody sets out to make something that moves you and makes you think about the world differently. And sometimes the pieces just don't come together. They don't glue, and the outcome is not there to make this thing the thing you wanted it to be when you first conceived it.
So we've got the fine cut of Hand to God. The team are here.
You've sweated blood and tears to do it, and it's still not there.
It has no proper ending.
That's because you need so many things to make that magic happen.
The review was good. For some reason, this one felt harsher than last week. You just want everyone to be like, wow, you've made a masterpiece. This is incredible. But that's obviously not very helpful, and that's never going to happen.
Some things, I think we had a lot of issues with tone at the start, and people not really understanding that the relationship between drama and comedy that we're trying to achieve.
Even though we love a shot. Yeah, I lost my favorite shot in the film, but it was like one of the first things to go.
Which one was the favorite shot?
There's a shot of him like peering through a cross-shaped
yeah.
window. I thought it was so great, but it needed to go like instantly. Like it was the first one that we were like, let's get rid of it. Which one is it?
Those screenings can be, I'm sure, quite terrifying.
You carry over that.
I mean, the feedback is about how that cut made us feel.
You know, like we're not seeing it, and we just need a couple more frames on.
The journey for the creative team is to pick out, I agree with that, I don't agree with that. You could argue that technically if it was objective, the beginning was objective, then you play with it more visually objective.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing.
Right.
When somebody gives you criticism and you know it's true, you're hurt. And when somebody gives you criticism and you don't feel anything, you're like, well, I don't think that's true, clearly. The thing that I dislike the most in film, like just in general, is when someone says to me, oh, it's your film. Because I guess it's this thing of like, it just proves that they've kind of checked out.
Don't go getting any ideas.
Why not?
As a director, you're like the conductor of an orchestra, and you have to make sure they're all making the same film. And I guess if you're a painter, you would argue that maybe you standing there with your canvas presents its own unique challenges. But my own view is we've probably got 50 painters all trying to do the same thing together on the same canvas and hoping it's going to end up with something amazing. It doesn't sound very likely, does it?
I always like designing castles. I think construction-wise it took about a month. And it looks amazing.
It's now like anywhere we point the camera is incredible.
How you communicate with people, it's always about the team and being really clear on what the intention is of everything.
We made this with a few tricky, nifty VFX tools. And a friend of mine, Dylan, helped me put this together.
And action.
As a director, you're the one that's allowed to have a final say over the creative decisions. You're also the one that's really needs to be humble towards all the craftspeople. It's not about domination and power.
This actor stunt guy is climbing up a ladder rig. I'm basically building the world around that, so multiple people here cheering him on, and then some other set dressing like flags, rocks, grass, atmospherics like fog, you know, depth of field, film grain, so lots of stuff that has to get put together to make the final image.
It should punch.
It should punch at the beginning, and then the music can take over.
That's the magic of filmmaking, I think, is when it does work and you watch a brilliant film, there's nothing quite like it.
These guys, am I right?
Yes, definitely.
The world the students are going out into is a tough and competitive world. Some of their year group will immediately be getting work. Some of those students will end up making very little. You have to endlessly jump into this world in the hope that this one's going to happen. And I admire that desire to communicate and the bravery of it as well.
It's totally possible. We've got lots of examples of it, but the road is quite narrow and you have to have real perseverance and real determination.
What we're doing right now...
If you've got that obsession, and I feel like filmmaking is obsession, you only get somewhere by just trying, I think. You've just got to give it a go, right?
Our founding director, Colin Young, said he wanted a school dedicated to the idea that filmmakers should be missionaries for a better way of life.
What excites me is the potential of all these young storytellers coming out of the school, illuminating the darkness, and showing kind of what storytelling can do.
This is my only vocation. I don't know if I can do anything else. What I want to say and how I want to say it, I hope people see that. Someone sees that. That's what I'm hoping.
Are not our greatest tales those that leave us wondering?
I just think it's so amazing what you've achieved.
When it's at its best. There's people who are searching for answers and exploring complex grey zones. And I think that's what we need more of.
Films are ridiculous. You see all these people around a camera and all that. You think, why are they doing that? What's the point?
All right then, everybody, that is us done here at the school.
I find it oddly moving that humans try so hard to communicate, against the odds. And it moves me in some way.